Hey y'all, it's Taryn. It is Monday, May 20th. Welcome. I know it's been 2 weeks, which during Stitch Mania is ridiculous. I should not have waited. But I hope y'all had a good 2 weeks anyway. I waited because Dax and I went to San Antonio the weekend of the 12th. We actually went Thursday through Sunday, so it's that the 9th through the 12th, so that was awesome. I took my Stitch Mania stuff with me to work on it, but I didn't want to drag everything to do a video, and on Monday, quite honestly, I was too lazy to get up and do it. So, it's my story and I'm sticking to it. So, stitching. I did my Mania stitching. Last time I recorded, I left off with Be Thankful, which was a new start. So, we'll get to it. And I'm sorry, they're all still in the bag, so we're going to have bag noise. But the idea of trying to get the stack to balance with things out scared me. So, I worked on this Snoopy bookmark. It's a free pattern. Yeah, I'm not going to try to pronounce it from a blog. But if you're interested, let me know, and I will give it to you, put it in the comments, whatever. I got this far. I know, it's pretty impressive stuff, but I do what I can. Okay, I'm going to throw them on the floor. And I don't know if I've mentioned this before. I'm certain I have. I'm easily distracted or easily bored when I'm stitching on something. Generally, an hour, maybe an hour and a half is the most that I can stand to stitch on something without changing projects. So, for Stitch Mania, I stitch for a little bit and then I move on to something else. But I do get my Mania piece in. So that one was on the 6th. On the 7th was a continuation of stitching. This, from the trilogy, it's called Warm Hearts. It came as a little kit that I bought on eBay or something, I don't know. So I'm using everything that was in there, and the snowman didn't even have a face last time. I had a little bit of the white in the snowman in, and that was it. So I really got quite a bit done on him, his face, the scarf, and his body. Maybe I just had part of his body last time. I don't know, but I did get quite a bit in on him. It's hard to tell, but this is variegated. There's white and a little bit of off-white in there. But I'm assuming it's all with called for because it came as a little kit with the fabric and everything in it. So on the 8th, I worked on friendship quilts. This is probably a 2016 Mania start. That just went to the ground. I'll look and see. Yes, 2016. That is the first year that I did Mania. And in 3 years of Mania, you're going to be wholly impressed with what I have gotten done. That's right. Yes. You're seeing that right. This time, because this has a crap ton of floss. And that is a technical term, in case you're wondering. It is a precise unit of measure. So there's part of it. Here's part of it that I've bobbinated. I spent more time looking for the right color than I did actually stitching, because after I worked on it that day, I went and bought this little smaller box to put stuff so that I could find it. And I've got to get the rest of it bobbinated. But so, Obviously, not a lot done there. But it'll get better, right? I've got stuff spread out down here. My little calendars, I know. And now my book, so I know what year I started it. Christmas Gentleman on the 9th. You've seen this one because I've been working on it off and on, different things. I have on my calendar, here's what my calendar looks like. Okay. I mark them off as I stitch them. I'm still keeping with stitching every day, which makes me happy. Sorry, there's thread here stuck on it. And I use the little roulette wheel app thing, again, technical terms, to let me know, to tell me what to stitch. And I kind of have other things that are sort of focus pieces. And the other day I went to put a new start in my roulette wheels. I have different ones for different things, and the app had deleted all of them but one. So that was horrifying. That's a good word. It was horrifying. So anyway, I went and rebuilt that over the weekend. That was lots of fun. But I added in, I think, his feet and like his beard and stuff during Stitch Mania. So got a little bit done. That is one of the ones that is on my list for things I'd like to get done this year. At this rate, that absolutely will not happen. It can't take me months to finish one Santa because there are 5 or 6 of them on there. I think there's 5. So, okay, the 10th. Christmas Gentleman, because we went to San Antonio on Thursday. I stitched that on that one in the morning before we left. We weren't going to go to San Antonio. Every year we go after busy season just to relax. We usually go Friday and come back on Sunday. And we weren't going to go because it's spring. And that means it is storm season, and we've been having lots of them. I think our septic ran for, because we have an aerobic system, and if one of the tanks gets too much water in it, it has sprinklers at the front of the property that go off. And to keep it down to what it decides is a good level, I have no idea what that means. But when it rains like that, we're kind of on a hill, and it will fill one of the tanks, and the alarm goes off, and the sprinklers go off, and we just turn the alarm off and let it run. It ran for like 3 days, I think, solid, because everything drains from above us down through us. So, anyway, it was really stormy for the whole week coming up to when we were going to go to San Antonio, and it was supposed to storm all weekend. And so we were just going to put it off. And I kept looking at stuff, and because once you hit Memorial Weekend, you are into summer travel season. So the prices just kept going up more, and stuff on the river walk in San Antonio runs $180 to $300 a night anyway. So I didn't want to wait until it went up. So we just decided, actually I decided, you know what, we're there to relax. If it rains, it means we have to sit our butts inside and freaking relax. So on Wednesday afternoon, I booked everything for us to go on Thursday. So I stitched on Thursday morning before we left, and then I took the other stuff to work on while we were there for each day, because it was absolutely possible. But luckily it didn't rain that much. On Friday, which was the 10th, I worked on one out of this, which is this wood stock right here. Let's see, wood stock 2016 start. And this is where I am. My issue with this one has been all of this freaking backstitch in here. The rest of the feathers, as you build out, he's still got more layers to go. As you build out around him, do not have as much backstitching. But this is ridiculous. And I kept being concerned about messing up, and then I realized, who can freaking tell? Although I have to say, I kind of like Woodstock with the purple fro, and I'm contemplating leaving him like that. Maybe framing him in with some purple velvet around him. What do you think? Although that kind of looks like he's shooting fire out of his butt. So that may not be the best option either. Okay, on the 11th was a new start. This one is supposed to be a biscornu. That's not what I'm going to do with it. I will probably just frame it as is. It was a free pattern somewhere. If you want to know, I'll look it up and link it. This is where I am. Seriously, I hope this is big enough. I'm really not sure. So, we'll see what happens. I got quite a bit done, and I just picked a really bright orange. I don't know if that's going to show up as the almost fluorescent orange that it is. And then this green, which is kind of fluorescent of its own right. So, it should be a pretty loud piece by the time it's done. Should be. Let's see, the 12th. This one is a 2016 start again. I worked on this. I'm not doing it on a shirt. I'm just stitching it. And when I started this one in 2016, I have a really small count, whatever this is. I guess it's Ada, probably, maybe 22 count, I don't know. But there's the pumpkin, and when I started it, I probably did like the green up here. And I've worked on it a few times, and then like last year I did some of the orange, and I've worked on it again, but I was using 2 strands, and it's too much. I couldn't get it to fit, and it made me hate working on it, so obviously I didn't. So I had started over with just 1 strand, and as you can see, I had worked on about this much, I think. I just did this much when I worked on it. Because like I said before, I get bored easy, and I have to move on to other things, which makes it really hard to get stuff finished. I'm just saying. Let's see, oh, it's not up there, it's over here. The 13th was Happy Everything, and this one I started in 2017, holy cow. I love this. I love this. It's ridiculous that, I mean, if you put this into perspective, what I just showed you has taken me 3 years to stitch. Not even a whole bee. And now we're at, what did I say, 17? Yes, so 3 years of stitching. 17, 18, and now 19. Here's where I am. I'm going to have to up my game, because this just ain't right. That's all I'm saying. My needle minder fell off. It's okay. I know where the needle is, so that puts it ahead of what happens most of the time. The 14th was Autumn Bird. Hallelujah, I started this one last year, so. But at the rate I'm going, it's going to be 37 years before I'm finished. I know, it's ridiculous. Here. That's my needle minder, we'll ignore him. I've managed to get in Autumn, 1 foot, and leg, and a little bit of pumpkin. My hoop was like right here, and I couldn't keep going up on the leg, so I was like, well, screw that. So there it stays. Because I'm awesome like that. But hey, at least that's only 2 years instead of 3. This salted caramel Kahlua. Dreams, it's what dreams are made of. I'm telling you. If it wasn't so frowned upon to drink before you went to work, I would have it for breakfast, lunch, and dinner. This one I don't have in here. While we were in San Antonio, this is going to be TMI, okay? But it's crucial to the story. So while we were in San Antonio, like happens on any good weekend away with your spouse, I started my period. Completely unprepared, because it should have been this week. But Mother Nature likes to F with me a lot. So anyway, I went downstairs in the hotel to the gift shop down there. And of course, you know how it is. You go in and you go, do you have any tampons? And the lady at the counter goes, what? I can't hear you. So you have to shout it so that everyone in the vicinity knows. But regardless, I find them and I go get them and I set them on the counter to pay for them. And she's like, I haven't needed these for so long. And I said, well, I'm 52. I don't know why I still need these. And she says, and this was hateful, okay? She says to me, my mom was in her 50s and going through menopause, and she got pregnant. I said, why would you say that to somebody? Do not say that to me. Oh my God. Isn't that mean? Here I'm talking about make it go away forever, and then you're going to tell me, well, why do that? You could get pregnant instead. Anyway, what day was this? On the 15th, Solitude. I'm pretty sure this one's, 2016. And I've worked on this one recently and have talked about the fact that when I first started working on this, I hated it. I could not get into a groove. I just hated it. And I finally made a working copy where I could highlight what I had done, and I sort of gridded my fabric, and that has helped. I think since the last time I showed it, I have finished off this square and this square, and a bunch of this down here is new. That completes my 2 squares for May. So any other stitching that I do on this will be, because I'm trying to get 2 of these little squares, and some of them aren't even full squares, but 2 of them done a month so that I can get this one page done this year. It's not a full page. But doing it this way, I mean, this square right here and this one are pretty close to being full also. So it really makes it easier, I guess, to, instead of just doing a square, I pick the color I'm going to use in one of the squares and pull off a length, and I go until that length is gone or until I run out of that color. And that seems to be working really well. It runs down into the other squares, and Makes it look like you see it. And it keeps me from getting bored. On the 16th, for like 2 seconds, I worked on this, and I worked on it for 2 seconds the year before. This one is a 2018 start, and I haven't worked on it because I am learning to freaking hate this pattern. It's this low fat chicken, which I love the low fat chicken. Don't get me wrong, he's adorable. I need to go back and find this and see if I can blow it up so that the pattern is readable. Everything is too close to looking the same, and I have trouble figuring out what thread I'm supposed to use, which leaves me getting all of this done. Right? That's impressive for 2 years worth of work. I mean, that's all I'm saying. So, now, it'll probably take me until next year at Stitch Mania to remember that I wanted to blow that pattern up. I'll remember when I start working on it, because that's how I go. On the 17th, I worked on this little bunny out of Cross Stitch and Country Crafts, January, February of 1992. I started this in 2017, which means 17, 18, 19, 3 different years I have worked on. You saw how giant that bunny is. But the first year I was trying to do it on this even weave with 2 threads, and you can see right there where I had started. I tried pulling them out, and I was just making a bigger mess and tearing holes in the fabric, so I put it away. And then last year I started stitching on it, and I got like the bunny's face and a little bit of this shading right around here, and I think his ears, but I hadn't filled in like the pink and stuff, which isn't a terrible lot. And so this year I worked on it, and I got like I outlined his face, I filled in the ears, I did this purple and a little bit of the white here. And then that's what I got done on my day for Mania. But then, because I did not want to be outdone by Dina at Half Stitch Cross Stitch, I went back and finished it. I couldn't stand the shame of not finishing. Now granted, it takes her a day, it took me 3 years, but still, I finished it. Actually, I had worked on it and put it up, and I was like, I cannot bear the thought of going into a 4th year on something that small. So, I went back Sunday I went back and finished it. I was going to do my video Sunday, and I was waiting for Dax to wake up because he was sleeping in, and I get up far too early. But when he woke up, he wanted to go do something, so we went to Fredericksburg. And so by the time we got back, I didn't want to do a video, so. And it was hot, and I was sweaty, and grumpy because, again, this is probably too much information, but I was grumpy because I make my own deodorant, and I have for 10 or 15 years, because when I buy deodorant, particularly if it's a solid or roll-on, I get these very painful knots in my armpits, so I don't like to buy deodorant. So I've been making my own for a long time. And usually it takes like getting through like the whole stick of it for it to do that. And so when we were going to San Antonio, I needed more deodorant, but I was lazy and didn't want to go make some. So I had a little trial size thing of deodorant, antiperspirant, that I went and bought. I mean, that I just threw in the bag and took with us. Because I thought, a couple of days, I won't do anything. Wrong. Wrong. I guess now because I don't ever use it, it's worse and happens, it bothers me faster. And so we get home and I'm like, okay, I've got to go make this, and I make it, and the sore knots go away within about 3 days, which is wonderful. But then I'm shaving under my arms, and I had put in a new razor, and I razor burned my armpits, both of them, like to where everything hurts. Deodorant hurts, sweating hurts, clothes hurt, moving hurts. It's ridiculous. So I actually have had to use like a spray because it's like 90 degrees every day around here. Nobody wants me not wearing deodorant. Adulting is stupid. Aging is stupid. It's ridiculous. So anyway, I don't even know what got me started on that. So there you go. Okay. So on the 18th, I worked on Brouhaha. This one is from Plum Street Samplers. It's a free pattern. I started this one, I think, last year too. Yes. Yes, after 2 years of stitching, I have gotten so far. I think last year, though, I only got like 1 or 2 rows. Because once again, I'm an idiot, and I am doing this 1/1 on a ridiculously small even weave. Like, if I had to guess, I'm not even going to guess. That's so small. So, anyway, that's where I've gotten to. I've started these things that I have to work on in just the right lighting so that I can see it. I don't know what's wrong with me. And on the 19th is where I ended Mania. And because there wasn't a year last year, it was a new start. And it's another one, a free one. Off a website. I don't know where it came from. I just thought that was pretty, and I will be doing it with red and black. On the pattern, all of the background, which is kind of a cream color, is stitched. Taryn will not be doing that. No. So, there you go. 3 petals of the flower. That's what I got done. I started in the middle at the top to make sure that everything will fit. I just grabbed a piece of fabric, so there should be plenty of room. But, you know, you just want to be sure. Okay, and that is what I stitched for Mania. Yay! And I love Mania. I loved it. I loved getting to some of those things that I probably would not have touched this year otherwise. Because they may not have even been on my little roulette wheel for things that I'm working on. But, as we've already discussed, I get bored. So I would stitch on one of those in the morning and then come back and for a little while. Most of my stitching I do in the morning. I don't do very much in the evening. And if I do, it's sitting in bed and the lighting sucks. So I have to be able to stitch on something that I can really see easily. Anyway, I have pulled out this one a couple of times since Mania. I stitched on it the first week in Mania. And I've been working on it a couple of times in the evening, or, yeah, mostly in the evening. And I've gotten quite a bit done. For Mania, I put his the details of his face. And so since then I've filled in the white there and worked on the green on his collar here. So I don't know. Let's see. I started, this one was a Mania piece from 2017. So with any luck, it will not still be a Mania 2020 piece. Maybe I should change my focus pieces to things from Mania. Like I haven't started a new project every week this year, which I am continuing. Last week, I did not have any pieces, new starts in Mania. So I pulled out the next one in my kitted projects tub, and it was this Lizzie Kate. Good things come to those who stitch. And I have, here's my start. I don't know why my needle's hanging down instead of up in my minder. But there you go. There's my start. This is a table runner from Target. Once I finish, I have a quilting pen marking where the center of the pattern for the, just along the bottom. I don't care going up because this is the very bottom of the pattern. So that's the center of the bottom border. Once I get this stitched, I'll add some batting and lining and make a project bag with it. It's kind of, it's linen, but the way it is stitched, I bet you won't be able to tell this here. No, it is like the way it's woven, there are 2 threads close together in a gap and 2 close in a gap. So I am trying to just use those gaps. I'm actually stitching 2 over 2, but with the gaps it's kind of like stitching 2 over 1 on Ada. I'm hoping that that will hold out, that it's not just an anomaly at the bottom of the piece. That I can, I'm hoping I can do that it'll work that way. So that was my new start from last week, but it's not a Mania start. That's not one of my Mania pieces. I know, it's all getting too confusing. And then I have been working on this one because come hell or high water, I am going to finish this. I have told someone else that they can have the pattern when I am done, and I want this out of my life. I am learning to hate this. And it has nothing to do with the pattern. The pattern is adorable. The pattern is perfectly well written. I chose a crappy fabric to do this on, and my poor choice just keeps causing more issues that I have to deal with. So I just want to get it done. I think since last time I have added this in, there are, it's hard to tell, like little green leaves budding, and the pattern calls for oatmeal, I guess, to be like little leaves budding out. But you can't see that on here. So I was like, leaves, there's the light green, and so I grabbed dark green. You can't see. You can't tell it's different than the dark brown unless you're just absolutely looking for it. It's ridiculous. I started the t-shirt that's hanging on the clothesline. The pattern in the t-shirt's white. So I've chosen this light blue. And then I've outlined the flowers. I put in these other 2, and I've backstitched around them. I've got to put in the stems to get them down onto the rest of the plant. There are flowers that go around the bunny here. I'm not doing them. I'm not doing them. I just want it done. And so there should be a finish there soon. I know. And it's just me. It's just me because I didn't pay attention to what I was doing. I made a poor choice, and I was too far into it when I realized I made a poor choice. And so now, instead of starting over, I'm just trying to figure out how to work around my poor choice. So, while we were in San Antonio, I did do the stitching. Like I said, my Stitch Mania stitching. But I also worked on this one. I started this pattern years ago when we started going to San Antonio. And for years, that's been the only time that I've worked on it. But in my last video, I talked about the fact that I had 15 or fewer rows to go at the bottom, and then to go back and fill in the gold. That was probably from the bottom 25 or 30 rows that I hadn't filled in the gold color. Everything else was filled in. And so I worked on this, and I could see myself getting really close to getting the orange part done. One day while we were there, and it was raining on that particular day, and we had come back to the room, and we're just kind of hanging out. Dax was flipping through the channels. He was going to go work out. And I was sitting there stitching, and he fell asleep. And I was just stitching and watching TV. And then I realized, you know what? I can get this orange stuff finished. And every time he would move or wrestle a little bit, I'd be like, no, don't wake up yet. Keep sleeping. I'm so close. But I did get the orange finished. So I was very excited about that. But then I got the whole thing finished. Right? I am so happy to have this done. I don't know what I'm going to do with it. It's called the Celtic Pumpkin by Sunflower Seed. And you can say I'm a little Celtic girl needle minder. I know she's not Celtic. Anyway, I am so happy to have this finished. I've been working on this for years. And because of all of the back and forth, I know it's only 2 colors, but all of the back and forth for everything just made it kind of crazy to keep track of when I was doing it. And because of that, I marked all over my original pattern, so it's a mess. But I finished that. And if you're keeping count, that's 2 finishes, the little bunny and this. And for my Stitch from Stash budget, I haven't bought anything. Working on Mania stuff, I haven't felt the need to buy anything because I worked on so many things. But I'm like $135. No, $143 in the black on my Stitch from Stash. I have gotten, I have it written down, 14 things finished this year. That's like unimaginable. So, I was pretty freaking excited about that. With any luck, we spring and this cold hand snowman will be soon. I think that's all the stitching I've done. That's a lot. Actually, it's a lot of things. Some of them do not have a lot of stitching, as we've clearly seen. But I am so excited to have that bunny done and the Celtic pumpkin. Now I have to figure out how I want to frame the Celtic pumpkin, or what I'm going to do with it. What else? Oh, I know last time I told you about Addison's wreck and all of that. The guy that hit her and rolled his car told his insurance that he was passing her, and when he was pulling over, he told his insurance company, not that he was passing her, I'm sorry, that he was changing lanes and she sped up and so that he would hit her. I got an email from my insurance company that a claim had been filed, or, you know, something about that accident. Sorry, my phone's giving me ugly messages. I'm going to have to plug it in, and it hates this. So, it may change the sound. I don't know. Anyway, he told his insurance company that he was changing lanes and she sped up so that he would hit her. So my insurance notified me, and I called the insurance company and I asked my claims adjuster what was going on, and she said that it had just come in, that I got the email automatically, and she hadn't actually listened to the message from them or read anything, and she wasn't quite sure yet. But I explained to her what happened, and she said they were probably calling because they had not heard from us to see if we were going to file a claim. And we weren't going to. For less than $4, we fixed what happened to Addison's car. And so she calls me back a little bit later, and she says that they said he was changing lanes and that she sped up and caused the accident, and they were filing a claim against us. Even the police report, I had her send me a copy of the police report, clearly states that it was his fault. And his insurance company told her what the police report number was. I don't know if they didn't read it and they just, oh, there's a police report, this is what he said happened, so it must be true. He was changing lanes when he was passing her in a no passing zone. And he cut over and hit her because there was oncoming traffic, and he didn't want to have a head-on collision. I'm just, so now I had to spend, this was all going on right before we left for San Antonio. So it's like, no wonder we need to get away. My God. But I had talked, because there was an error in the report, I had talked to the deputy. Actually, I just sent him an email and told him where it was and asked him if he could fix the error so that there would be nothing that they could argue. And he actually called me back. I think he was kind of irritated that they were trying to say it was her fault. And he's like, you can tell your insurance claims adjuster to ask me for anything that she needs, and I will give it to her, because there is no way this accident was your daughter's fault. So we had to deal with that. Hopefully it's all settled. Their insurance company is still trying to get a hold of us. They are trying to get a hold of Addison because they want to hear her version of the story, is what the message they left says. Our insurance agent told us, do not talk to her. Our claims adjuster, she denied the claim because they were at fault, and she told them to leave us alone, but they've called anyway. So, why? Why do people try to lie and scam? It's just crazy. So hopefully that really is all done and taken care of now. When we got home from San Antonio, well, while we were there, I think we were eating. We may have been drinking heavily because that happened. Addison texted us. No, we were eating breakfast. It was Sunday morning. And Addison texted because her car, the overflow tank on her radiator got a hole in it, and it let all the fluid like steam out, I guess, the radiator fluid. Not all of it, but about 3/4 of it. And her car had overheated, so they had pulled in, and she didn't know what to do. We said, do you have your AAA card? This is why we pay for it. Have them tow it to the house, and we'll order the part and get it fixed, which Dax fixed it on Saturday. But that happened while we were gone. Then we got home Sunday afternoon, and let's see, the hot water heater on the kids' side of the house quit working. I went, it kept tripping the breaker. So, because it's a tankless water heater, nobody just sells the new heating elements that go in it, so I had to order those. They came in and I fixed that yesterday morning. replace those. That was no big deal. What else was, let's see, the car, the water heater, the dishwasher was leaking. I think they just, when it got shut, one of the little rubber strips got folded in and it was leaking through there, because it hasn't leaked since. But Dax and I were just like, okay, we're going back. Yeah, this is no fun. We're leaving again. We don't want to do this anymore. But I think it's fixed. I think Dax left today. Abigail is, something's broken on her car, so he's going to fix that. He was going to try to get that done today. But he's going to stay in Houston for a few days. I guess he'll probably be home on Thursday. And just spend, Abigail's off work, and they're just going to do daddy-daughter time and go hang out together, which is awesome. I've tried to encourage that he spend one-on-one time with all of our kids since they were little, and he has, even when they were like a year or two old. On the weekend, if he was out running errands, things that needed to be taken care of around the house and picking up stuff or whatever, he would take turns taking just one of them and, take them to McDonald's and let them play on the playscape and eat chicken nuggets for lunch or whatever, even though we couldn't afford it. But that was super important. And we've really tried to keep that going. So that's been really, really good. So I think that's all. It seems like a lot. I want to thank you to my new subscribers. Welcome.